What's good, Hoop Digest fam? Today, we're diving into some legendary territory. We're talking about the moves that defined eras, left defenders completely helpless, and made coaches lose sleep. These aren't just any moves. These are the most unstoppable moves in NBA history. You know the ones. Those go-to moves that left defenses scratching their heads, even when they knew what was coming. So let's not waste any more time. We're counting down from number 5 to number 1, going into detail on each move, breaking down why they were so untouchable, and digging into how they changed the game. You ready? Let's get it. Starting at number 5, Allen Iverson's crossover. Let's start with the move that shook up the entire NBA. If you were watching in the 90s, early 2000s, you knew when Allen Iverson hit you with that crossover, it was a wrap. AI's crossover wasn't just a flashy highlight move, it was deadly. We're talking about a crossover so quick, so filthy, that it left some of the league's best defenders in shambles. And the crazy thing, defenders knew it was coming, but it didn't matter. AI would still get them with it every time. What made Iverson's crossover so unstoppable wasn't just the speed, but that hesitation he threw in. That little pause, it gave him just enough time to read the defender. The second you tried to guess which way he was going, he just crossed you up the other way. And by the time you realized what was happening, AI was already halfway to the hoop. That man turned defenders into highlight reels, and sometimes not in a good way. AI's quickness and long arms played a huge role in why the crossover was so effective. He had the lightning fast first step, so if you didn't anticipate his move, you were done. But the worst part, even if you did try to anticipate, you were still probably getting cooked. The hesitation gave him that split second to see what you were doing. If you guessed wrong, he'd blow right past you. Guess right, cool. He just hit you with a counter move and make you look silly all over again. And AI's crossover didn't just leave defenders on the floor, it changed the NBA. It was so effective and so deadly that the league banned this version of it. That's right, Iverson embarrassed so many players that the NBA had to adjust the rules. They said, nah, this is too much. Think about that for a second. AI's handles were so elite, the league couldn't handle it. But the impact of AI's crossover didn't stop there. After him, every player wanted to add that crossover to their bag. From street ball to the pros, Iverson set the standard for how guards would handle the rock moving forward. His crossover wasn't just a move, it was a cultural shift. Everybody from Kyrie to Steph to Harden has a bit of AI in their game. And it all started with that legendary crossover. Number 4, Hakeem Olajuwon's Dream Shake. Now, let's talk about one of the most finesse moves ever seen in the NBA. Hakeem Olajuwon's Dream Shake. This wasn't just a post move, this was art in motion. Hakeem had defenders looking lost, stumbling, and second-guessing their career. His footwork was so crisp, so unpredictable, that he'd have big men spinning in circles trying to figure out what was coming next. And the secret behind Hakeem's Dream Shake? It was all about that soccer upbringing. Yep, Hakeem grew up playing soccer back in Nigeria, and he brought all that agility and balance into his basketball game. The man had footwork that was unworldly, and that's why his Dream Shake was unguardable. But here's the kicker. Hakeem's counter moves were straight up guard-like. We're talking about a 7-footer moving like a guard out there, with counters on counters, making defenders look clueless. You think you stop Hakeem's first move? Nah, he's got 2 or 3 more ready to hit you with. He'd fake one way, then spin back the other, and before you knew it, he was laying the ball in or hitting you with that silky fadeaway. His footwork was so advanced that no matter what a defender tried to do, Hakeem always had the perfect counter move waiting. It was like he could read defenders' minds. He knew what you were about to do before you did. Big men just weren't equipped to handle that kind of agility and finesse. This move had guys guessing, and that's when you knew you were in trouble. Guess wrong, and he's hitting you with the Dream Shake and putting up an easy bucket. Even if you guessed right, his footwork was so precise that he still found a way to create separation and score. It was pure mastery. What makes the Dream Shake even more legendary is how rare it is to see a big man with that kind of skill set. Hakeem's footwork was generational, and to this day, you've got players, both big men and guards, trying to learn from the master himself. Kobe Bryant studied Hakeem's moves. LeBron James hit him up for lessons. That's how legendary Hakeem's Dream Shake was. It's a move that every player wants, but no one can pull off quite like the Dream. Number 3, Michael Jordan's fadeaway jumper. Coming in at number 3, it's none other than his airness, Michael Jordan, and his iconic fadeaway jumper. Now, we all know MJ for his insane athleticism and in-the-air acrobatics, but as he got older, he knew he had to adjust his game. He wasn't as quick as he used to be, so what did he do? He developed a shot that made him even more deadly, the fadeaway. And let's be real, this wasn't just some regular fadeaway. MJ's footwork, timing, and IQ made this shot unstoppable. He'd back you down the post, use his strength to create a bit of separation, and then fade away over your head. Whether it was going over his left or his right shoulder, MJ could hit that shot from anywhere. And here's the scary part. Defenders knew it was coming. They couldn't stop it. What really separated MJ's fadeaway from other post moves was the precision. His footwork was so on point that he could create just enough space to get his shot off, and with his elevation, it didn't matter how tall or athletic you were. He was getting that shot up and draining it. It was all about timing and feel, and MJ had that down to a science. His understanding of the game, combined with his work ethic, allowed him to master the fadeaway to the point where it became his go-to move. As he aged and lost a step, he developed the fadeaway as a way to stay dominant even when his athleticism wasn't what it used to be. And that's why Jordan was so feared. He could beat you in the air, or he could hit you with the fade. Either way, you were in trouble. The fadeaway helped MJ solidify his legacy and extend his career, proving that greatness isn't just about athleticism. It's about evolving and mastering new aspects of the game. Jordan's fadeaway was proof that even when Father Time starts catching up, skill and IQ can still make you unstoppable. Number 2, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's sky hook. Now, we're getting into some serious legendary territory. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's sky hook. There's one shot in NBA history that defines the word unstoppable. It's the sky hook. Kareem made this move his signature, and to this day, no one has been able to replicate it. We're talking about a shot that's so unique, so unblockable, that it became Kareem's go-to weapon for 2 decades. What makes the sky hook so special is that it wasn't just a post move. Kareem was hitting this shot up to 18 feet out. That's not normal for a big man. Kareem wasn't just playing in the paint. He was hitting these shots from distance with insane accuracy. And to master a shot like that, we're talking about thousands of hours in the gym, perfecting the release, the footwork, the timing. It was a work of art. But here's what made it impossible to guard. Kareem's sky hook was all about placement. He'd shield the ball with his body, making it nearly impossible for a defender to get a hand on it. And then he'll release the ball so high that no one could block it. And when you combine that with his height, forget it. The shot was practically unguardable. Every defender in the league knew the sky hook was coming, but no one could do anything about it. It was like Kareem had the cheat code to basketball. He could just go to that sky hook whenever he wanted, and it was automatic. And the wild part, he did this for 20 years. Every team tried to figure out a way to stop him, but no one ever cracked the code. That's why Kareem held the all-time scoring title for so long. He didn't need to be flashy or athletic. He just perfected the most unblockable shot in history and rode that all the way to 6 championships and multiple MVPs. The level of mastery it took to perfect the sky hook is next level. You don't see anyone in the NBA using it today because it's that difficult to pull off. The footwork, the balance, the touch, it was all so specific. Kareem made it look easy, but that was the result of countless hours of practice. And it wasn't just a weapon, it was the weapon that made him unstoppable force, season after season. Kareem's sky hook wasn't just a move, it was an entire legacy. You couldn't guard it, you couldn't block it, you couldn't stop it from going in. And that's why it remains one of the most unstoppable moves the game has ever seen. Number 1, Shaquille O'Neal's drop step dunk. Alright, Here we are. Number 1, the most unstoppable move in NBA history. And that honor goes to none other than Shaquille O'Neal and his drop step dunk. If you watch Shaq in his prime, you know exactly what this move did to the league. The sheer power and dominance behind it were something we had never seen before and likely won't see again. Shaq's drop step dunk wasn't just a move, it was a wrecking ball. When Shaq got deep position in the post, you saw him start to make that drop step move, you already knew what was coming next. He spun off his defender so quickly with such force that it was impossible to stop. You could try to hold your ground, but let's be real. You weren't stopping 7'1", 325 pounds of Shaq coming at you full force. Most teams didn't even bother trying to defend it. They literally came up with an entirely new strategy just to deal with Shaq's dominance. Hacker Shaq. Think about how crazy that is. Shaq's drop step dunk was so unstoppable, the teams decided to just foul him instead of even attempting to play defense. That's how lethal his move was. No one could stop it. They just foul him and hope he missed his free throws. But here's where Shaq's influence goes even deeper. His dominance with this move literally changed the landscape of the NBA. Teams started drafting extra big men, guys who probably wouldn't even have been in the league, just to pick up fouls on Shaq. We're talking about 20% of the league filling roster spots with bodies just to foul Shaq. He had an entire league trying to figure out how to deal with him. And the best they could come up with was sending him to the line. When Shaq hit you with that drop step, it wasn't just a dunk. It was a statement. He was telling you that you couldn't guard him, that you weren't strong enough, and that you were about to get posterized. And let's not forget, Shaq wasn't just big, he had some serious footwork for a guy his size. He knew how to get defenders off balance, and once he did, it was over. You were getting dunked on, or you were committing a foul. Those were your only two options. Shaq's dominance in the paint was so complete that he led his teams to 4 NBA championships, and he was the Finals MVP in 3 of those runs. His drop step dunk wasn't just an unstoppable move, it was the foundation of his entire game. You knew it was coming, and there was nothing you could do about it. That's why Shaq ranks as number 1 on this list, and why his drop step dunk will forever be remembered as the most unstoppable move in NBA history. So there you have it, the top 5 most unstoppable moves in NBA history, broken down and dissected. From AI's crossover that shook defenders out of their shoes, to Hakeem's dream shake that left big men spinning, to MJ's fadeaway that became even deadlier as he aged, to Kareem's sky hook that no one could touch, and finally, to Shaq's drop step dunk that literally changed the NBA's landscape. These moves are what made basketball special. They defined eras, changed games, and created legacies that will live on forever. These weren't just basketball moves, they were weapons. They were the go-to moves that made defenders look helpless and left fans in awe. And let's be honest, these moves weren't just about individual skill, but about basketball IQ, timing, footwork, and dominance. What do y'all think? Did we get the list right? Or did we miss a move that deserves a spot in the top 5? Drop a comment below. Hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Hoop Digest TV for more fire content. We've got plenty more basketball breakdowns coming your way, so stay locked in. Peace out, and always keep hooping. Peace.